Few doubt that Justin Fuente is the right man for the job in Blacksburg, but not necessarily will 2018 be the year for Virginia Tech football. Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, previewing all the teams in the Power 5. And, of course, we're delivering our predictions. You do the same by leaving those in the comments section. Virginia Tech, 9-4 last year, 5-3 in the ACC, lost their bowl game to Oklahoma State. Justin Fuente on the job. Almost getting to the Coastal Division Championship for a second straight year, but of course they lost to Miami head-to-head, and that finished the season from a championship perspective. All right. Rough offseason in Blacksburg. Cornerback Adonis Alexander, academically ineligible, and he was one of the best players on the defense. All right. You've got a nickelback in Mook Reynolds. He was dismissed from the team. Jeremy Webb tore his Achilles, out for the season. Defensive co-coordinator Jalen Scott resigned amidst a huge controversy in his personal life. All right, so what was the main threat to Miami, and probably still is a weak threat at this point on paper? 9 of the top 10 linebackers and defensive backs are gone. 9 of 10. So Bud Foster, considered one of the very best in the business, and rightfully so, in his 24th season at Virginia Tech, has his work cut out for him. Does he truly have magic? Well, he's going to have to use all of it in 2018. This was a projected top 20 defense, according to the advanced metrics of the players coming back, projected top 20 in the nation. We don't know what it's going to be now. All right, along the defensive front, you got Trevon Hill, who had 46 tackles and 9.5 tackles for loss. Hushawn Gaines with 24 stops, and Ricky Walker with 12.5 tackles for loss and 4.5 sacks. Decent defensive front on the first tier, but on the second and three lines, not necessarily good depth for Virginia Tech. The linebackers, a bunch of 4-stars who will be forced to play. They've proven nothing. These guys have not played. They've not made tackles. They've not been on the field to make plays. But they've got the 4 stars next to their names, so they might be players in the making. They're going to have to prove it this year. Dylan Rivers, Dax Hollifield, and Alan Tisdale are the linebackers to look out for. Defensive secondary, more 4 stars to throw at you in Chamari Connor, Khalil Ladler, and Divine Diablo, who actually picked off a pass, but otherwise these guys did very little except make less than double-digit tackles last season. All right. The offense was not good down the stretch. They only scored 17 points per game in the final 5 games. Of course, Josh Jackson is the face of the offense. He completed just under 60% of his passes for just under 3,000 yards at 29.91, 20 touchdowns, and 9 picks to go along with his 6 rushing touchdowns. He doesn't run first, but he can run effectively. He's a big guy and tough to bring down. The wide receivers for this team were excellent 2 and 3 seasons ago with the guys like Isaiah Ford, Cam Phillips, Bucky Hodges, who was a bit of a tight end, but in the Jimmy Graham mold. But the wide receiver play last year, from what I watched, I'm not just going by the stats, I saw Virginia Tech play quite a bit, and the wide receiver play was abysmal. Sean Savoy caught 39 passes for 4 touchdowns. You had Hezekiah Grimsley with 12 receptions. Eric Kuma caught 28 and 2 touchdowns. C.J. Carroll, 15 receptions, 1 touchdown. What I mean here is guys were not fighting for the football. They were not out fighting defenders. They were lazy in and out of their cuts. It just was not good wide receiver play for the Hokies last season. They basically have one proven running back coming back into Sean McLeese. He ran for 530 yards, just under 5 yards per carry, and 4 touchdowns. Trayvon McMillan, a 1,000-yard back from a few years ago, has transferred to Colorado. We talked about him in our Colorado video, of course. This team needs to find a place kicker to deal with this schedule. They open at Florida State. They also have Boston College out of the Atlantic Division. So Boston College is the rival for Virginia Tech, as designated by the ACC in the other division. Florida State comes up in the rotation. So a difficult opener, very important ACC game at FSU to open. All right, Virginia Tech's got a date with Notre Dame at home on October 6th. I expect them to lose that game. They could certainly win at home, but Notre Dame's much better. They will go 3-1 non-conference. 5-3 sounds very familiar, but it also sounds like it's on target for Virginia Tech inside the ACC. They lose to Miami. They lose to Florida State this year. And even though Miami's at home, and I was thinking throughout the offseason before these issues hit the team, that would be the game that Virginia Tech would most likely beat Miami. And even though the Canes would most likely win the division, that they would stumble at Virginia Tech. I no longer think that. I'm going Miami and Florida State to win those games, and then Virginia Tech loses another game most likely against either Duke on the road or Boston College. That's 3 losses, 4 total. It's 8-4 for the Hokies. It's 5-3 in conference play. That's our thoughts on the Hokies. Would need to hear from you right now with your prediction below in the comments section on Virginia Tech football right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football.